by the time we finally hit the brakes, we had spent $500,000. And guess how much we sold? Hi, my name's Devon. Today I own several multi-million-dollar companies. We started with $5,000 in a credit card. I don't know the easy way. I only know the hard way. Hey everyone, welcome to the Whiteboard Entrepreneur Podcast, where I give straightforward advice to fuel the entrepreneur in all of us. I'm Devon Dickinson, and today I want to talk to you about avoiding business money pits. And as soon as I said that, you probably immediately, like, three things went off in your head of a money pit that you've had in one of your businesses. And I like to share this story because I think it's very common and many of you can relate. So I came up with this idea for this product, this company. It's kind of a product where it was some software that we were building, and it was super slick, and it was going to revolutionize this industry. I told a bunch of my friends about this idea, and they thought it was awesome. Like, everyone really, really loved it. And I had some people like, ooh, as soon as you have that, I'll be your first customer. And so we were very excited about it. So doing a bunch of work on it and put together a project plan, and I put together a budget. And that budget was about all in. It was like around $150,000. And the project plan was that it was going to be launched and done in 6 months and ready to go. So it was going to cost me $150,000. It was going to be launched and ready to go in 6 months. And I wrote together like basically an outline of what this product was going to look like, right? So it was basically a one sheet, and I wrote it up, boom, and it was good to go. And I gave it to the developers. And we started working on it, and it was super exciting. Every single week we'd meet, and they'd be like, oh, this is amazing. But it would be even more amazing if we added this other feature. Yeah, let's do that. And then we'd meet next week and be like, oh, I love it. But you know what? Let's undo that. And we need to do this, add this other feature. And then we met, like, we got all excited. And then we meet next week, and we're like, oh, you know what? Scrap this whole idea. Let's go back and restart over, but we're going to do it this way this time. So now fast forward 6 months later. Okay. 6 months later, guess what? We had not spent $150,000. We ended up spending like $300,000, and we didn't have a finished product. But listen, it didn't bother me none. I was so excited because, man, it was super exciting. And they were like, you know what? We just need to add a few more features. And so every single week we would iterate on this, iterate on it. Got up. I literally spent, between everything that we worked on, project management and paying consultants and doing other things and having programmers, by the time we finally hit the brakes, we had spent $500,000. And guess how much we sold? Business money pit. It was a money pit. And you'll say, well, geez, Devon, yeah, but you're an entrepreneur. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. And I'm going to say, listen, I get it. I get it. Maybe it just wasn't that great of an idea. Maybe I should have done some things differently. But I'm going to tell you what would have saved me from having a business money pit. And it's 3 initials. M is in Mary, V is in Victor, P is in Paul. MVP. And no, I'm not talking about Kobe Bryant, LeBron James. I'm not talking about that type of MVP. MVP means minimum viable product. You see, after this happened, my chief of engineering sat me down and said, Devon, you've got to understand and get in your head MVP, minimum viable product. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? He's like, Devon, from the very beginning, we should have put together a scope of work which says this is the minimum viable product. This is all that we need, and we're going to complete step A, step B, and step C, and it's going to work. And we're going to build that. We're not going to spend another penny until that is built and launched. And no matter how many cool ideas you have along the way, while you're building step 1, 2, and 3, we're going to agree that no, we're just doing MVP for launch, minimum viable product for launch. And what that does is it means that you are going to stay within your budget. You're going to stay within your $150,000. You're going to stay within your time frame. It's going to be clearly defined what the project is. And I'm like, yeah, but well then what if, we haven't clearly defined enough? He's like, well, then you didn't do your job and you shouldn't have even started MVP. And I'm like, whoa, hold on. He's like, yes, you have to have discipline at the very beginning around MVP. You have to spend a ton of time defining your scope of work and what that minimum viable product looks like. And you have to be religious around that, and you don't begin programming or development on your product until you are 100% confident that MVP in its MVP state is capable of making you money. And you don't even begin the project until you have that confidence. And then once you have that confidence and everybody signs off, and I say it's important that everybody signs off because it means I sign off because I'm the one paying the bill. It means my chief of engineering signs off because he's the one in charge of making sure it gets done. It means all of our consultants sign off because they know exactly what their job is. Nothing more, nothing less. It means that our developers sign up because they know what their job is, nothing more, nothing less. You're going to be paid to do this job, and when this job is complete, you get paid. And by the way, if I come up with another feature that absolutely must be added no matter what, somewhere along the lines of MVP, guess what? What do? We all look at it, we write it up, we scope of work it, we try not to do it because we want to do just MVP. But if for some reason this has to be added, we now all sign off on it and we all agree what it's going to cost, how long it's going to take to do it, and we sign off and we do it, and it's basically a change order, right, to the MVP offering, right? And so what this provides is discipline to keep you from having those money pits, to keep you from chasing, something, that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow that keeps moving because you keep moving it, because you keep changing what MVP is. And so it's funny because I've experienced this so often, and I know you have too, because my young son is an entrepreneur now too, and he's trying to start his own business, and he's like, Dad, I'm so frustrated. I feel like we should have launched in November, and here we are. It's April, May, and we still haven't launched. And I said, oh, you don't understand MVP. And I had to explain to him minimum viable product, and you could just see him go, duh. And I'm like, well, listen, son, it cost me a heck of a lot more to learn that than it did you, so don't worry about it. But listen, we as entrepreneurs, we all experience this, right? Sometimes you've been, on the consultant side where you're like, oh my gosh, I started this project and these people don't know what they want, and now they're mad at me, right? Because MVP was never defined. Your scope of work was never defined. Everyone didn't sign off. And so everyone's just working towards, this project end, but it's like running a race and everybody keeps moving the finish line, right? And you're sprinting and you're like, when's the finish line going to get here? I'm throwing money at it. I'm throwing energy at it. I'm throwing time at it. And I'm never achieving, any customers. I'm never getting to that finish line. MVP, get it, learn it, live it. MVP, it will help you. I know that this will help. I'm Devon. This is Whiteboard Entrepreneur.